Teens have always been dark, from Rebel Without a Cause in the 50s, to The Breakfast Club in the 80s, to Donnie Darko in the 2000s. But in the last decade or so, teens seem to have grown darker, and I mean a lot darker. Between 2009 and 2019, depression rates basically doubled. Why? What is the difference between 2009 and 2019? What could it be? Yeah, it's the phones. More specifically, it's phones plus social media. Many believe that tech giants behind these apps are to blame. People are fed up, they want big tech to change, and they want them to pay, literally, like with an incredible amount of money. Here's reporter Isaiah Ports.
The lawsuits are coming from young people all across the country, but they have all been consolidated in the federal district court based in Northern California and in San Francisco, where most of these tech companies have their headquarters.
There are now hundreds of these lawsuits bundled up into a single multi-district litigation. Included is a lawsuit against Meta by 42 states' attorneys general plus DC. This is now one giant mega case, the potential damages of which could be astronomical. The battle is reaching an epic scale. The leaders of social media platforms have been subjected to public admonishments in Congress.
You know full well your product is a disaster for teenagers.
And the Surgeon General has issued a warning about social media use for teens.
Social media use is associated with harms. And so that is a great concern for me as Surgeon General, as a doctor, as a father of 2 young kids.
This is sort of a turning point where consumers are really trying to say, we need to hold these big tech companies liable for the way that they design their platforms.
Some think a major defeat is coming, just like it came for big tobacco. There had been decades of evidence that smoking was addictive and harmful. Tobacco companies knew this, deliberately targeted youth, and fought regulations. It wasn't until the 90s that major legal victories and restrictions made significant headway. Have tech companies done the same thing? Have they designed their products to maximize addiction while ignoring internal and external proposals that could mitigate harm? Is it finally undeniable that social media is addictive and harmful to teens' mental health? Is this big tech's tobacco moment? Let's start with the simplest and most important question. Is this true? Is social media harming our youth? We know exactly when the troubles began, 2012. 2012 is when this downward trend in the mental health of teens started to plummet. 2012 is also when social media on smartphones exploded. The timing lines up, kind of seeming like we can wrap this video up early, or maybe not.
The existence of a correlation between the use of social media and a decline in teen mental health across the country probably isn't sufficient to pin legal liability on these social media companies.
Social media could very well be harming teens, but the scientific evidence is not definitive. There's also evidence that social media helps teens.
For certain minority groups, certain LGBTQ communities, having access to social media allows people to connect with other folks who they otherwise wouldn't be able to connect with.
As for the legal evidence that social media harms teens, that battle will be fought uphill because of something called Section 230. Section 230 is an extremely powerful part of the 1996 Communications Decency Act. It protects tech companies from bearing responsibility for speech made on their platforms. Section 230 is a giant crocodile-infested moat around the empire of big tech. To have any chance of success, you gotta come up with a clever legal theory like this. The plaintiffs want to treat the platform like a product.
If you're producing a product that has some kind of defect that is harming consumers, you're likely going to face lawsuits from those consumers.
Just like if you buy a bicycle and the first time you ride it, the frame collapses and you break your leg, that's likely a faulty product, and the manufacturer could be liable for your injury. The plaintiffs are claiming social media platforms are defective products.
Since the tech backlash that started during the 2016 election, a lot more consumers have been focused on the ways that Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat have been developed in such a way that it will harm consumers, especially young consumers who are using these products and these social media platforms at an earlier and earlier age.
So if social media is a product, where is the actual product part? It's the algorithm.
The way that these social media feeds are designed encourage young people to continue to use these products, continue to compare themselves to other people.
The argument that social media software are products has had mixed results in court. It worked in a case against Snapchat over its speed filter feature, which showed how fast a user was traveling. 2 boys were killed in a car crash after attempting to take photos using this feature. In 2023, the Ninth Circuit ruled that Section 230 does not shield Snap from liability. However, in cases against TikTok, the product liability argument did not work. TikTok was accused of encouraging young users to participate in the dangerous Blackout Challenge, a choking game that resulted in numerous deaths. However, those cases failed. Why? Section 230. To bolster their cases, the plaintiffs in the multi-district litigation argued that social media companies already knew the harm they were causing. For example, in the case against Meta, the major evidence is the Facebook files. This was a series of articles fueled by documents leaked by whistleblower Frances Haugen, a Facebook product manager,
which showed internal research from Meta Platforms, Facebook and Instagram's parent company, which suggested that a lot of young users, especially teenage girls, have really felt harmful effects of comparing yourself to other people on platforms like Instagram.
While this evidence only applies to the case against Meta, other plaintiffs are hoping to find similar internal research from other social media platforms. Another weapon in the plaintiff's arsenal is this. Schools are arguing that social media is a public nuisance. In other words, that it causes widespread harm to young students, plummeting mental health, cyberbullying, and distracting, destructive, or even dangerous viral stunts.
Some viral social media challenges have encouraged young people to do a number of horrible things in the schools, like trashing the school bathroom or viral stunts that are ultimately a nuisance to the school and make it more difficult for teachers to control their classrooms.
Schools want compensation for having to clean up these messes. The public nuisance tactic was successful in a different realm: vaping and nicotine addiction. Schools used this argument against e-cigarette maker Juul, resulting in a cool $1.2 billion settlement. But
social media inherently deals with speech. People are communicating to each other on social media.
Because this is about speech, social media might be protected by Section 230. We'll see how the public nuisance claim pans out here. So is this big tech's tobacco moment? There are clear parallels. The big tobacco cases of the 90s also took the form of multi-district litigation, and the scale of the potential damages here could be comparable to the big tobacco cases. That would likely produce massive changes in social media apps.
These cases can really change how it is that these platforms operate.
That is, if the plaintiffs can somehow get around Section 230.
If they're able to get out of these lawsuits then and continue to receive protection by Section 230, then they'll still continue to design their products in a way that maximizes profit for them.
Overall, the plaintiffs, with their novel argument, are the underdog in this fight. But sometimes, underdogs win. And Section 230 itself is increasingly becoming a target. One of the influential thought leaders here is the social psychologist Jonathan Haidt. He argues for strong age restrictions and repealing and replacing Section 230.
The digital world is just shredding our kids. There is no age gating. Nobody's responsible, and parents whose kids are hounded to death or buy drugs online, they have no recourse.
Right now, even if Section 230 delivers another clear and decisive victory, this battle could inspire big tech to take some precautions. They could make their own reforms in an effort to both preserve Section 230 and prevent that big tobacco moment from ever arriving.